What's up, guys? TDZ back with another video, and today we're going to be doing something that I like to call Total Drama Recasted. This is actually an idea originally that I got from my friend Toxic TD. I don't know if he got it from anywhere else, but he's the one that I heard of this idea from, and I decided to replace the characters in every generation with someone who I feel like does a good job, um, like the closest person to them that I feel like can do a good way of interpreting them in that season. But this season could be different with that person. Anyway, like for instance, Dave is supposed to be Ezekiel. Ezekiel and Dave, I feel like, are both misunderstood characters that, if written correctly, could have been really good characters. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's basically like that. But as you can see, some of the contestants from the original generation, because this is Gen 1, by the way, are still here, like Duncan, Gwen, Heather, Lindsay, Courtney, Izzy, and Noah. That's because I feel like there's either no one who could have embodied their presence in this season, or I just really liked them in this season, and I feel like they best fit here. So for it's the same way for future generations. We'll get there as time goes on, but once we get there, there might be people who were in that generation that stay in that generation because I just feel like it's the best place for them. You know what I mean? Anyway, well, enough yapping from TDZ. Let's hop right into the video. And in the first episode, oh yeah, by the way, I realized that the entire first video I did call the Screaming Gaff. I called the Screaming Gophers the Screaming Gaffers, bro. The entire episode, and like it didn't even realize until I was literally posting the video. Like I post my videos and put them private until I'm ready to post them. And yeah, I was literally watching, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I do? And I'm so embarrassed and ashamed as a Total Drama fan, and I just like didn't even realize. Like, I feel so ashamed. Anyway, we're gonna hop into the Killer Bass and Screaming Gophers. Okay. Anyway, the first challenge will play out. I mean, the first episode is gonna play out really the same. This is gonna be the same way as the other video I made. I'm just gonna refer to the challenges more than the episodes, because to be honest, there's a lot of episodes. Don't remember the names of every episode, but I do remember most. I do remember all the challenges. To be honest, most of them, if not all of them. But I don't remember the names to every challenge. I know the names to a couple of them. I mean, to a good amount, I think. But anyway, getting off track. The first episode per se would go the same, but that's because there's no challenge, just them meeting each other. Things that would happen: Dave would start to like Zoe. Zoe would thinks Dave's a cool guy. Noah would feel strangely attracted to where's she at? Emma. Emma here. Cameron and Caleb would become kind of friends. Um, Jasmine and Gwen kind of hit it off. They're cool friends. Ripper kind of bullies Jasmine because of her height, and she's kind of insecure about that. So she kind of feels threatened by Ripper a little bit. You know what I mean? Damien is Damien. He doesn't. He after he sees all the scary stuff, he's gonna want to. He's gonna want to get out of here. Duncan, Chase, and DJ are a crew. They are together. They're the three of them. This is basically supposed to represent the bro squad of Duncan, DJ, and Jeff. But Chase is here now, so Chase will be that third bro. Um, and that's kind of all you need to know for right now. These things that I've said kind of like sets you up for all the relationships for the rest of the game. The only things you'll have to know like later, I'll say anything if it needs to be known. So anyway, so the first challenge will be the jumping off the cliff challenge, and we'll just go off of who would jump and who would not. We'll go with the original cast first, because who we know who's actually gonna jump. We'll go with the Killer Bass because they jumped first originally. So Duncan would jump, DJ would not, Courtney would not, and oh yeah, I didn't explain this, but Izzy is on the Killer Bass because originally the only reason she switched teams was because of Katie, and with Emma and Katie being the resembles resembling Katie and Sadie. Yeah, they would probably like to more be on the same team. Emma because it would help her game out. Katie because that's her sister and she's happy, nice, friendly. But I don't think that they would tweak out the way that Sadie and Katie did. to be on the same team. Like I don't think they will act like it's the end of the world for it. So Izzy would never switch teams, so she's still on the Killer Bass. Izzy would jump. So basically 2 and 2 so far. Next we have Chase. We know Chase. He's jumping. He's probably jumping to be honest. It's fun for him. We'll come back to Zoe. Sam, he's gonna jump. I think he's gonna jump. Kitty's gonna jump. Brick probably actually wouldn't jump on his own. He would probably look down, be a little scared, and Joe would push him off. As like because they have that little rivalry, and Joe would then jump after. You know. Now we have the last two for this team, which is Zoe and Dave, and I feel like Dave would not want to jump. He would probably be against it, probably not about to jump. But I feel like Zoe, with them kind of being friends from the first episode, she would be like, I'll jump with you if you're scared. And him being the little simp that he is, he would, jump with her. He would be screaming the entire time, kind of like basically blowing her eardrums out. But, he would end up jumping with Zoe. So two people didn't jump, the rest of them did. Now let's go to the Screaming Gophers. Yeah, I said it right this time, guys. Let's go with the original cast first. Noah's jumping. Gwen's jumping. And here's where things change a smidge. Because she's not gonna. Heather's not gonna jump. The reason why is because originally she was thrown off actually by Lashana, and even though I feel like the most assertive person on this team would probably be Jasmine, I don't think Jasmine would physically throw her off. I feel like Jasmine would at most yell at her, tell her, "Come on, you have to do this or we lose," and she'd be like, "Yeah, I don't give a rat's. I don't really care," and she wouldn't jump. And because of that, Lindsay wouldn't jump because Lindsay's not doing it if she's not doing it. Okay, so next we have Ripper, who would be jumping. Jasmine would be jumping. Damien's not jumping. So they already have lost this part of the challenge. I don't have to go over the rest, but just to get it out the way. Jumping, 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 but she's jumping only because she doesn't want to be seen as weaker than her sister. She usually wouldn't, and she actually thought about it, and she realized that they already lost, so there's no reason to jump. But she doesn't want to be seen as weaker than Kitty, so she's who's her little sister. So she's not going to. So she is going to jump. And then last is Cameron, who also wouldn't jump. So 4 people who didn't jump. Cameron also, did the math. I seen that he doesn't have to jump anymore, considering everybody else. Or we already lost the challenge because these 3 didn't jump, so he wouldn't do it. All right. So now they wouldn't win the reward, which was I believe the hay bear or not the hay, but the little barrels to carry their stuff, and I feel like that would end up causing them to go to elimination. Now, causing them to go to elimination, the first, Heather would be forced to do her plan of finding 2 people to manipulate sooner in the first episode. So she would first go get Lindsay as usual, but she needs somebody else because Beth's not here. So she would go for Stacy. Stacy and Lindsay would be really good friends by this point, especially because she likes to yap. Lindsay probably believes everything she says. So yeah, pretty good relationship. Total Drama Reset right there. Anyway, if you don't know about Total Drama Reset, go check it out. We're still working on it. First season's gonna be a little shaky, but yeah, go check it out for sure. Anyway, but yeah, she would get them 3 together. The 3 of them would probably vote for Jasmine because Jasmine was really pushy to her in the challenge specifically. But everybody else mainly would just vote off Stacy. She's annoying. She's just they can't handle it anymore. And there might be a couple throwaway votes, like maybe Jasmine, possibly Gwen might vote for Heather. Damien might vote for himself because he's so scared of what's going on. But like majority of everyone is gonna vote Stacy off. They can't deal with it. Anyway, the next challenge would be the big sleep. Things to know about this episode: not really anything. Sam would be hanging out with Izzy before she eventually falls asleep. Cameron falls asleep. DJ falls asleep. Dave falls asleep. Zoe feels alone and just falls asleep too. Courtney falls asleep. Then here's where Noah falls asleep. Oop, oh my god. Okay, Noah falls asleep. Let me keep them in order. Noah falls asleep. Damien would probably fall asleep right around here. Emma would fall asleep now as well. Lindsay would have been fallen asleep. She probably would have fell asleep actually first before Cameron. I don't know why I didn't even look at her. Then so this would be like the last five, and then this would be their last six. Oh wait, Chase would have fallen asleep by now. So that five versus five. Next person to fall asleep would be Kitty. After Kitty falling asleep, it'd be Ripper. After Ripper falling asleep, it'd be Brick probably. Then Caleb, because I feel like at this point it would be getting nighttime. Brick would be like really paranoid to be up during the nighttime. You know, his fear is the dark. So he would be, he would just he would just end up going to sleep. He would figure that his team got this. He would figure Joe and Duncan are pretty strong competitors. He's not too confident about Sam, but them two are pretty strong, so he wouldn't really mind. Duncan would be bullying Sam this entire time. Sam would get sick of it, and he would be very upset with this very quickly. Caleb falls asleep, Jasmine falls asleep, Heather falls asleep. So now it's literally a 1v3, but that's fine because Joe falls asleep and then Duncan falls asleep, or vice versa. It really doesn't matter. It's 1v1. And as you know, Sam's plenty of years on this earth playing video games, staying up late night, staying up multiple days, staying up probably like 4 or 5 days at a time, just playing video games. Yeah, he gets the win here and outlasts Gwen. So the Screaming Gophers would go to elimination, and again, and Heather would be in a bit of a bind, considering she just lost her ally, and she'd be pretty peeved about it. But Noah would see this. He would go over to her, and he would be like, "Yeah, I see you just lost your ally, and I could tell that you're pretty mad about it." She'd be like, like, how did you figure it out?" And he'd be like, "It wasn't hard. The rest of these idiots just didn't figure it out. I mean, but that's just because that's what they are, idiots." And she would be like, okay. She would already notice how much of an intellectual threat he is, but he would of course offer, we can ally up, I wouldn't mind allying with you. And she would probably say like, all right, fine. We could join. We could join at work together. Kind of because she has no other choice but to work with him. So she would kind of ask him, who does he think should go? And he would tell her, well, eventually the teams are gonna merge, so we gotta get rid of one of the big threats. You know what I mean? So he would suggest the two biggest threats they have is Jasmine and Caleb, but Caleb is more of a threat because he's a threat with his looks, his mind, and his body. While she's a mind and physical threat, her like body or not like not body, like appearance, her looks, she's not as threatening as he is. He can literally make someone crash a boat like he did. So the way that this would go down, he does get eliminated, but the way this would go down, Noah would go talk to Ripper and would talk to Emma. He would probably stare at Emma a lot while he's talking to her, and she would be like, "This guy's a creep." But after he says like his initial reason for coming, like, "I think we should eliminate," she would be like, "All right." He would have some sound logic, and Ripper as well would be like, "Oh, that makes sense." So that's 5 votes on Caleb, 1 vote on Damien, 4 votes. Well, when he's here, 4 votes on Heather and Bao. He's eliminated. Jasmine would really be confused on how Heather survived yet another elimination, but she you know, just keep going. Anyway, the next challenge would be the dodge brawl, and here we're just gonna take out the less physical people. So Bam, Bam. Well, he might be good at a challenge like this because it's dodgeball. You don't really have to be like strong. You just have to be like athletic. So he might be good at this. Ripper is too clumsy, too uncoordinated. And see here, Heather would literally force Noah to compete. She would know that if he doesn't compete, he's gonna probably be eliminated. So she's gonna force him to compete. He's gonna do absolutely terrible, but he's going to compete. So yeah, not very good. The rest of these, Lindsay, absolutely the worst. Anyway, the rest of these people, so Gwen, Damien, Jasmine, Emma, and Heather, I feel like they would do decently well at the challenge. Heather probably less than the rest, but they would at least give their team a fighting chance. But this team just has too many heavy hitters. Even the people who I feel like are not good at this challenge would be like Sam and Dave. But everybody else here is pretty physically capable of doing almost anything. And with them, with him winning the challenge, the only people who would probably be sleepy, really sleepy, would be like Duncan and Joe. But even if you eliminate them from contention, like let's say they were sleeping on the sidelines, they still have Brick, they have Kitty, they have Chase, they have Courtney, they have Zoe, they have DJ, they have Izzy. Everybody here is very physically capable, and I feel like they're just too overwhelming for the Screaming Gophers. And at this point, Heather would be kind of like questioning why do we keep losing, and Noah would quite simply just say it's because we have some dead weight we have to get rid of, and the only other person who did as bad as him in the challenge who they could persuade to get eliminate would be Cameron. And I feel like they just go to the same people as before. They already have Lindsay on their side. They just go get Ripper and Emma, and persuade them like bro, Cameron is dead weight if we keep him along. And I feel like with this, they would even be able to get Gwen and Jasmine on board as well, because like they would just I feel like everyone would just naturally look at these two, and with Noah being probably not even more intellectually, but being able to play it off being allied with Heather, I just feel like it would end badly for Cameron. Anyway, the next episode, something that I do want to mention is that by this point, these two Zoe and Dave are becoming really close, and they're probably going to, or they both realize that they like each other, but they don't know that the other likes them back. So other things, she's kind of getting closer with Duncan. Their rivalry is starting to get in the way. Like they're starting to argue a lot, and Kitty is just basically joining them like as a third wheel. She realizes they both like each other, but she basically tells Dave that she's gonna be his wingman, or in this case, wing woman. They hang out together. They're like he kind of likes Izzy. Izzy, just crazy. Izzy just Izzy. Damien goes to Jasmine for advice. About him not wanting to be here. She gives him like a little inspirational talk. So now he wants to be in the game. He wants to compete. Anyway, so for this challenge is the talent show, and the people competing for the Screaming Gophers is going to be Heather while reading Gwen's diary, Damien doing a science experiment, and there's two options I had here. Either one, Lindsay does like a little model show like how Justin did, but we're not going to do that because I feel like a way funnier thing and something that would actually the way that they did the writing, the way that they wrote the season, and the way they loved to write the season and loved to play with this, it would be Ripper farting. Ripper farting would be the last talent for their team. And I know a lot of you probably are like more farts, but like you gotta think about it. It's Total Drama. Total Drama loved to play with that gag a lot. They like to use the farting joke a lot, and they usually used it a lot with Owen and Ripper. So with Ripper being his replacement, it only makes sense that Ripper, and that's his whole thing. That's his whole thing. He's a farter. He literally wanted to break the world record in farting. So his this would be the moment he breaks the world record. Not getting a good score, but these two would carry the slack, and the main reason why they would end up winning this, why the Screaming Gophers win this challenge, is because their arguing gets to everyone. Their arguing ends up breaking Courtney's violin, because Courtney was originally going to go with her violin. It was going to be Courtney. It was going to be DJ with his ribbon thing, and the last one was going to be, who are we going to do here? We'll just have Zoe do an acrobat show. Because she's pretty physically capable. He would be simping for her from the sidelines. That'd make her happy. But like, they would break her violin, so someone else. So they'd have to push someone out there or do something random, and they'd put in Izzy, the only other person that would have said she had a talent that was legal. Because that's why Duncan can't do it. So she would go out and she would do like a hypnotizing show, and it wouldn't work. Chef would not be impressed, and they go to elimination. So you would think that Izzy would be eliminated here before basically kind of winning the challenge, but it was actually more of Brick and Joe. and they would both be sick of each other now. So they would be, going to their separate sides, basically trying to get each other eliminated. So Brick would go to the Do Good trio, them by the Do Good trio. I'm talking about them, and tell them, yeah, can you help me out and vote out Joe? She's just getting too much. And they would agree because they would also probably not like Joe. She's really aggressive. But Joe would go to the Bro Squad. Yeah, I'm stealing that from Cove. Sorry, dude. I'm actually about to go watch your Reality Resort right after this. So, and I'm gonna do it live. So, anyway, but yeah, so she would go to the Bro Squad, and they would agree because they think that Brick is too gullible, and sometimes clumsy, which doesn't help in challenges. Courtney would vote with them, as she kind of has a thing for Duncan, and she doesn't really want to not upset him, but she would just agree, just go with them anyway. So that's 5 votes on Brick, 4 votes on Joe, and Izzy and Sam would vote Duncan because he's mean, and Duncan and his bro squad bullies him. And with that, that would make Brick the 4th contestant eliminated. Bye bye, bro. Maybe you'll get a better chance and a better shot in another season. Anyway, the next challenge after this would be the Sucky Outdoors, and the Sucky Outdoors would go basically simple. It's gonna be very simple. Um, Izzy scares the team. I'm not even gonna go into too much detail. Izzy scares the team in the bear suit. Izzy gets eliminated. Sam gets really upset that Izzy got eliminated. You know, easy, simple. Doesn't even have to go into too much detail. Um, but yeah, something to note, I guess, would be that nah, nothing important, nothing important that needs to be noted. I mean, oh well, I guess okay. Sam does kind of like tell Izzy while she's about to be eliminated that he likes her and stuff like that, and she'd be like, "Nah, you're not my type," and that would break his heart. And so first it breaks his heart that she's gone. Now it breaks his heart as well that she's didn't like him. Um, but she would say he's interesting. Still, so basically, still want to be friends with him. Blah blah blah. Anyway, the next challenge after this would be Fear Factor, and let's go over the main cast who were there for the Fear Factor challenge, who we have definite fears for. All right, so we have Heather, sumo wrestlers, Gwen being buried alive, Lindsay bad haircuts, Duncan the standees, the very specific standees, um, Courtney the green slime, and DJ Snakes. Other people who we know their fear is Chase with the catapults, Dave Germs, Kitty drowning, Damien everything, Jasmine confined spaces, claustrophobia, and that's about it of what we know for sure. Now for these contestants, these 7, I had to come up with something. No, something good enough. So we're gonna say who we're gonna go over what these guys have to do first, or well, actually what all of these guys have to do first, considering they weren't there, and then we're gonna go off of who fails, who doesn't. For clearly, he's gonna have to get launched out of a catapult, and he's going to have to jump into a pool of germs. I can tell you right now, he's not gonna succeed that one. Even if Zoe gave him a kiss, he wouldn't do it probably. He would actually do like the little cartoon run. His legs would start moving like a wheel, and then he would like disappear from the screen, and there would just be smoke there. I thought of that on my own. Pretty good, guys, right? Anyway, he would have to do something. I really don't know. We're just gonna say he has to jump into a den with alligators, something like that. Something scary. Um, Actually, we're gonna say he has to jump into a pool with sharks to play with his shark fear. Jasmine would have to, of course, be go into a confined space. Ripper, okay, now blah 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 blah. Kitty, she would have to be forcefully held underwater for 30 seconds. Emma would not like this idea at all, and she would actually, say that's unfair because even though she's on the other team, that's her sister, and Kitty would still, be like it's okay, I'll try it. Ripper, for him, he's alpha. He calls himself an alpha. So for him, he'll have to admit that Jasmine is better than him at everything. That's gonna be pretty hard for him. Noah, so the only thing I could find on him was that people theorize that he's scared of eels because in his exclusive world tour exclusive, when he's eliminated, he falls into a pool of eels and he looks like super, like almost afraid. But like, who wouldn't be afraid of a pond of eels jumping at you? Like, but that's all I could find, so that's what we're gonna go with. We're gonna go with eels. We have to jump into a take of eels. Um, Joe will have to admit her deepest, darkest secret and weakness. So that's gonna be pretty hard. Emma will have to. Her whole thing in Ridiculous Race is trust. So she'll have to trust, fall off of a semi high platform, nothing too big, not like the cliff, but something decently high. If you fall off and you don't get any protection, you're gonna hurt. And she'll have to jump off, eyes closed, turned around, and somebody at random on her team, which will be Noah, it will have to catch her. And she thinks Noah's a little creepy, so she's really not into this idea. But she ends up, she'll probably do it, probably. But we'll get to her. Zoe would have to admit who she likes on live television, on the cast, like who she would date out of the males here, and yeah. Sam would have to watch Chef play video games, and there would be a video game on the table in front of him, and if he picks it up, he loses. But what he doesn't know is that if he picks up the video game, they're gonna turn the video game off on him halfway. So, the first person on okay, so now we're getting to who completes. She fails, she succeeds. She succeeds. He succeeds. She fails. He succeeds. He fails. He's not gonna go into a thing of sharks. She's not gonna do claustrophobia thing. She's not. She's not built like that. Ripper would do it. Ripper would admit it, but he would go into a confessional instantly saying that it's not true, and like he would kind of doubt himself. Like he would say he would sound doubtful. It's not. It's not true. I'm not like weak, but he would sound really doubtful in himself. Noah would do it for the team, and I feel like I feel like that's not really his true fear, so he would end up doing it. Emma would also end up doing it, with a little bit of Kitty's help. Okay, now that's for their team. So 5 completed, 3 did not. Chase would complete it, maybe. We'll come back to him. But Dave, like I said, not doing it. Sam's gonna fail. I know I didn't go in order for that one, but she's gonna complete it. She is going to say who she likes, and it will be Dave. That makes Dave a little happy. Oh, my bad. That makes Dave a little happier considering he kind of blew this part of the challenge as he didn't do his face his fear. I mean, Joe will not complete it. Joe will not complete it. She's not gonna do it because she's not really down to telling everyone her deepest darkest secret and her weakness. Because even though like she could lie, they would have her on a lie detector test to make sure that she's telling the truth, and she would really not. She wouldn't do it. Kitty would succeed, and I feel like it would all come down to Chase, and Chase wouldn't do it. Now the only reason why I say that is because originally he was not going to get on the catapult in his season. He was literally forced on there by Z and Ripper, so he wouldn't face his fear. The Screaming Gophers would win, and he would mainly be whining the entire day because Izzy's gone and that he's heartbroken and stuff like that. So everyone would probably just genuinely just vote him out, help him with his own sorrow, and also with theirs because they don't want to hear that. Anyway, the next challenge, I don't remember the name, but it's the challenge where they have to row their canoes to Boney Island, make fire, come back to the island. So in this challenge, the people being paired up for the Screaming Gophers, Heather instantly grabs Lindsay and they book it. So then the next group is Damien hurries to get on such in a hurry to get on one that he accidentally pushes Gwen on, and they just start going, and as soon as they get on it, it starts going, which leaves them two and these two, and Noah asks Emma. Emma thinks he's a creep, but decides, I mean, he's not the worst option, out of the 3 of them. She could be on a boat with Ripper, so she just takes him. He gets on the boat. Pretty bossy about it too. So Jasmine is stuck with Ripper. So now it's time for the Killer Bass, and Duncan would clearly go with Courtney. Cordy would kind of like him, kind of not. So she would still, be a little weary about him. But when she asks, she looks at the other options, and she doesn't want to get stuck with Chase or Dave or Joe. So she goes ahead and does that. Of course, Zoe and Dave go on one, and that makes her feel a little left out. But then DJ, proposes to get on one with her, so she gets on one with DJ. She thinks DJ's a pretty nice guy, so they have fun together. No weird stuff. Like not weird fun, but like they just probably really nice people talking with each other. So that leaves Joe with Chase. Chase makes it look like a party, but she's not very excited about this. Anyway, the entire time, Chase annoys the absolute hell out of Joe. And Joe now wants him gone. She even wants to throw this challenge to get him out. Um, anyway, and on this team, things you gotta know on the ride there, Emma basically asks because he's staring at her again, and she's like, "Bro, why are you always staring at me? Like you're creepy, like actually creepy." And he would just kind of explain like that the reason he stares at her is because he's never had a crush before, and he thinks that's what this is. She would kind of put the dots together and be like, well, that makes sense. And she would also think, and she would just say, you're not the worst person to have a crush on me, but she would just leave it at that. He would be very confused, like, does that mean I have a chance? Like he would be pretty confused about what happened, but she would leave it literally like that. Um, Jasmine would ask Ripper why is he always mean to her? Why does he bully her? And he would be like, it's just the way I was grown up. Like my dad told me that I have to go for the strongest person, make them look weaker, so I look stronger. And she would, kind of understand, but she would tell him, she would tell him it doesn't have to be that way. Like they can, be friends. And he would be like, I don't know about that. Well, he'll be like, I'll have to think about it. Anyway, so the challenge goes on, and the fire portion of the challenge, Duncan easily fixes it with easily wins it with the lighter. And there's no one here who can actually like. I feel like Damien might be able to make fire, with like science or something, but it wouldn't. Like a lighter is far more effective, I believe. So they would win that part of the challenge. I don't remember if there was a reward, but I'm pretty sure that they would be able to finish out and win the challenge as well, especially with DJ and his swimming facing his fears. I feel like maybe Kitty would be able to get him to face his fear with them hanging out all day. And Joe would be actually pissed that they won the challenge because she would have wanted to get this guy out, but she has to wait another elimination. So everyone would be basically Noah would have kind of bonded with Emma. So he goes to his alliance. He tells Heather that they should let Emma in the alliance. She's very against it, but he's very persistent about it and says that he really thinks that Emma should be a part of the alliance. So she's like, interesting. Now she figures that he's becoming too much of his own person and and less of someone that she can easily just manipulate into voting her way. So she goes and talks to Gwen and Jasmine, and Jasmine gets Damien on board, and they're like, "Look, Noah's pretty useless in physical challenges, and he's smart, but that could actually be considered threatening for when if our teams eventually merge." So after everybody considering what Heather's saying, Jasmine would probably want to eliminate her or Ripper, but Noah's looking like a pretty good option. So they would all vote for Noah with Damien's vote, of course, and that makes Noah go home. While Noah's on his way home, he would basically be really sad about it. But she would say like something like, "Hey Noah, after this whole game is over, we might be able to work something out," and that would instantly make him happy. He doesn't mind going home anymore. All right, so the next episode would start, and Jasmine and Ripper would be hanging out. Ripper would have came to Jasmine and said, "Okay, let's go ahead and try that friends thing out." They would hang out. Ripper would have nothing to talk about except like farting, and Jasmine would be obligated to laugh, not to be mean. So she's not mean to him is what I mean. So she wouldn't come off as rude. That's what I'm trying to express. There we go. Anyway, why this is he would basically be like, yeah, this whole friend thing is weird because it would be really awkward, and she would just tell him like, it would get better. It's gonna get better as it, as they continue their friendship, their relationship, their friendship, not relationship, but like friendship. She would be still mad about Noah's elimination, and she would be trying to figure out what happened. She would talk to them, try to talk to them, but they would be more focused on hanging out. But she would basically get the info from them that it was all Heather's idea. Anyway, it's time for the challenge, and in this challenge, this is the paintball challenge. And in this paintball challenge, the hunter, we're gonna go with the deers first. The deers for both teams. There's gonna be them two, DJ and Dave. These are the hunters. These are the deer. And then for this team, the deer are going to be Heather, Gwen, and for the fun of it, we'll say that Ripper's a deer. We're gonna cut that out. Okay, so basically in this challenge, there's gonna be a lot of in-team fighting for this because Joe and Chase are gonna end up going at it because Joe shoots Chase, and she says it's an accident, but then she does it again, and Chase is now realizing that it's not an accident, and they start firing at each other. And because they start firing at each other, they accidentally hit Kitty in the process. Kitty activates her whole competitive thing, and yeah, now it's a three-way brawl. Now, so at this point, Zoe is just joining in for survival. She's joining in because now she's in the middle of this because they were all together, and now that she's in the middle of it, she has to fire back at them. You know what I mean? And so she doesn't get hit herself. Um, Ripper would actually try to more lead these two as deer, and Heather would look at her like, "I'm Heather. You can't lead me," and they would get into a little bit of a squabble over it. Jasmine would be hanging out with them, and she would be like, he's just trying to help out, something that you're not doing, and that would offend Heather. Heather would be like, "Me not helping out? All right." So now she has a vendetta against Ripper. She doesn't like him. She thinks that he needs to go as ASAP, as soon as possible. You feel me? As soon as possible. Damien here basically hides the entire challenge. He's not doing much, but they do end up coming across. But Emma and Lindsay, Lindsay would actually be with them most of the time, and he would kind of just be like with Emma, but like hiding with Emma. So like as soon as they would approach the Killer Bass team, like more accurately, they would approach these guys fighting it out. And Dave would be hiding in a bush, watching, kind of, because like Zoe's there and Kitty's there, so he would just be hiding in a bush, hoping that they could protect him if anybody from their team came. And Emma would basically, nudge Damien and be like, follow my lead. And he would be like, all right. So then Emma goes in, starts spraying at them. And, Damien goes in and follows suit. Because they were caught off guard and Emma was very, very low because they've been fighting it for a good minute at this point. They don't have any ammo left to fight back, and they just are getting chased by Damien and Emma. Damien actually for the first time is feeling what it feels like to be on the like the strong side of bullying, and he's like this kind of feels kind of fun, even though it's part of the challenge, so it's not really bullying, and he just for the first time he feels strong, feels powerful. Anyway, they win. The Gophers end up winning the challenge because nobody on the Screaming Gophers ends up getting hit while they're covered in their own swamp. But Chase thinks that the whole thing was fun. Like he goes to Jones like, "Yeah, thanks for creating a good time." So that infuriates Joe even more. So anyway, they get in their little groups. Let me get them together. Courtney, Chase, and we got Joe. So they're in a little. They're like a five, the Fantastic Five. You know what I mean? They're like in a little five group. right now, and they agree that they should vote off Dave. He's the most useless player left in the game on either team, even more useless than Damien. So they should really get rid of him. And everybody's like, yeah, we'll go for Dave. But Joe has her own plans. So Joe goes to the other team. She's like, yeah, not the other team, the other alliance. Like, look, we're voting out Dave tonight, but it doesn't have to be that way. If you guys vote for who I tell you to vote for, I could save your friend. And they would probably be like, no, we can't vote with you. You're evil. You're mean and stuff like that. But Kitty would be the voice of reason. Tell them, we have to. It's the only option. If not, Dave gets eliminated, and then me and Zoe would follow suit. So they're like, fine, fine. So they vote. So she tells them to vote for Chase. That's what they do. But Joe still realizes it's gonna be a tie. So she has another plan. She has something else she's cooking up. So on the way, right before elimination, she tells Chase that Duncan said that they're gonna change the vote to Zoe because she's more of a physical threat for the merge. And he's like, that's kind of weird. He didn't tell me about it. And you'd be like, you know what? All right. And he would vote for Zoe, meaning he gets eliminated in a 4-3-1 vote. And Chase is shocked. DJ's shocked. Courtney's shocked. Duncan is absolutely shocked. And he's like, how could this happen? Looks over and sees the hugest smile on Joe's face. So she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, smiling like, yeah, that was me. And he goes to a confessional saying, yeah, I know exactly what happened. So now he's, mad, really mad at Joe. Because now he, instead of losing one ally, he actually lost two in the process. So the reason why he's mainly mad at this is because basically the fact that he lost two allies and now he's in the majority instead of being in the minority than being in the majority like he was. He doesn't like not having the power. It's not a good look on him. That's his words, not mine. Anyway, the next challenge would be the meal challenge, and Ripper would be trying to take over the challenge lead, but Heather's not going. Heather's like, nah, I'm gonna lead the challenge. They're arguing for a bit before Jasmine kind of comes and backs him up, and she's like, what? Why him? And she's like, I mean, he hasn't really had a chance. He hasn't really had a chance to prove himself to us. So why don't you give him that chance now? And Gwen and Damien being being Jasmine's friends, they would be confused, but they'd be like, you know what? All right, fine, fine, whatever. We'll vote for. We'll agree with you. Blah blah blah. So Heather, seeing this, she's now intimidated of Ripper because she thinks Ripper has some sort of influence that she doesn't have. So not only is she mad at Ripper for the last elimination, but now he has a kind of influence that she doesn't have, and she doesn't like that. She doesn't like someone else having that kind of power. She likes all the power to herself. That's why she got rid of Noah, and she mentions that in a confessional. So she subtly, throws the challenge because she's trying to get Ripper out, which actually helps out Duncan because Joe confronts Duncan and tells him, I'm aiming for you. If we don't win the challenge, you're going home because I have the do good squad on my team. I have the do gooders on my side. You know what I mean? And Duncan's actually kind of spooked. So Duncan's trying to win. He putting his heart out, putting his heart on into this challenge because he said he's not ready to go back to juvie quite yet. You know what I mean? So the Screaming Gophers end up losing because Heather's subtly throwing the challenge, and she's cooking up a plan to get him eliminated. It's 7 people left in the game, right? 1, 2, 3, yeah, 7 people left. She's like, yeah, I gotta get rid of that Ripper, but how exactly do I do it? So because she sees that Ripper and Jasmine have some kind of connection now, so she's kind of a little confused. So she's like, all right. She goes to Damien. She's like, Damien, Jasmine, Ripper's been bullying Jasmine, and I've been seeing it. I don't really like it. And he would be confused. He'd be like, you are concerned about Jasmine? She would be like, yeah, I'm a nicer person than you think. And he would actually believe her, and he would be like, all right, so you're gonna vote for him? And she's like, yeah, for sure. Why don't you vote with us? The three of us, we can vote off Ripper. But I think that Ripper's she would say something like, I think that Ripper's actually kind of messing with her mind, so we can't tell her about the vote. He would be like, it would be like that stupid logic, but he would be like, it sounds weird, but overall in confessional, like he would be saying this confessional, like it sounds all right. Like he'd be like, it sounds weird, but it also sounds like a good plan. So she would tell him, go ahead and try and get Emma on board. Tell her that he failed us in the challenge today, and that he needs to be eliminated. So he goes and does that, and the four of them vote for Ripper, while the three of them, well, because Jasmine goes to Gwen, actually forgets to go to Damien, and tells Gwen to vote for Heather. So 4 votes on Ripper, 3 votes on Heather. Ripper's eliminated, and Ripper is shocked and also upset, and he shows this very much on his face. He's very upset, and Jasmine is kind of upset too, and she kind of actually um, breaks down, not breaks down, but like she kind of like goes off, saying because she figures out that Damien's the one that turns, and she's like, Damien, why would you not, like vote with Heather? And he's like, I didn't know. I'm sorry. Like he would like saying basically trying to apologize. Um, because he would see Jasmine as a really good friend. Jasmine's the one that gave him the advice, that made him want to compete in the game. She would basically say that she wasn't supposed to say it. She wasn't trying to say it, but she would end up saying that she liked Ripper, or she started to anyway. And Ripper would be like, He would be like, I've never had a girl have a crush on me before. And then he would quickly change his words and say, oh yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of girls in my lifetime. He'd be like, yeah, you could be one of them. It's something like cool like that, because he thinks he thinks he's cool even though he knows he's not. Something like that. So they would like have like a little like Lashana Harold kind of kiss, and he would get eliminated, basically, essentially, which kind of made his elimination a little happier. So he's not as mad. He's still mad that he misses out on 100 grand, but he's not as pressed about it, because at least he got a girl in the process. You know what I mean? Anyway, the next challenge would start, and he would really be apologizing to Jasmine, but Jasmine would be giving him the cold shoulder, because she's actually kind of she's taking it really personally. Anyway, this next challenge is the who can you trust challenge. So the first part of the challenge would be Heather and Gwen. Heather being the person who blah blah blah. Heather being the person that throws pulls the person, and she being the climber. DJ being the climber, and Duncan being the holder. So Duncan is, really determined to win again, because he knows that he's not in the best position. Even though he does think he might possibly have a plan, but he's too risky to try out right now, and he'd rather prefer just to win every challenge till the merge, till whenever the teams disband. So he would have a better chance. But yeah, they end up doing good in the challenge, but the same thing happens. She rig her stuff, pulls it, the pennies come out. He goes, wow, drops DJ. She completes the challenge. They win. They win that part of the challenge, not the whole challenge, not yet. Anyway, so they win that part of the challenge. The next part of the challenge would be Zoe, and it would be the quillfish thing, the fish thing that they have to. I think it's a quillfish. Um, Wait, what is that called a quillfish? I don't know. I'm gonna look it up after this, because I keep thinking I'm thinking about the Pokemon, and I'm not sure if I'm thinking about the Pokemon or not, but yeah. So she would have to prepare something for him, while Lindsay would have to prepare something for Damien. Lindsay would absolutely fail, poison Damien. He's out for the challenge, and Zoe would not really do that well at cooking it, but she would do well enough that it wouldn't poison him, and he would just lie and say it's good, because he likes her, and because of this they would kiss again, and he would basically he would just say, all right, well, you want to be my girlfriend. We've had 2 kisses, blah blah blah, and she would be like, yeah, yeah. So it's like a little happy moment. Lindsay's clapping while he's over there vomiting out like poisoned, and she's clapping like, yay, relationship. And Chris is like, isn't this nice? And while and no one's helping Damien, at least not yet. Eventually, Chef does grab him and take him to the infirmary, but they just let him be poisoned for a good while. Anyway, the next part of the challenge would be the jellyfish part, and the jellyfish part would be, let's say, Zoe, and we're gonna go. No, to make it more interesting, we're gonna say she's the one that has that she can grab people and bring them back or whatever, and she's the person that can grab people and bring them back. So Duncan will have to trust her, and Duncan's not really into trusting her right now, as what she just pulled. So that's gonna be tough for her to do. She is not gonna be easy to trust her. Anyway, for the other team, it was gonna be Lindsay and Heather. Lindsay drops Heather into the jellyfish. She's out for the challenge. She would end up doing it because she doesn't want you know she doesn't want to lose, at least not yet. Even though she knows she has the numbers, she doesn't want to get Duncan out. I mean, she doesn't want to just lose the challenge just to get Duncan out. That's kind of stupid. So she does it. They win that portion of the challenge. So now it's 2-1. The next part of the challenge happens, and it's Joe and Courtney. Joe has to throw the Joe is the thrower. Is the part where they have to throw the apples onto and try to hit the arrow, or the arrow thing on their head. And it's Joe and Courtney. For the other team, it's Gwen and Jasmine. No, it's Gwen and Emma. Emma hasn't competed yet. Actually, Jasmine hasn't either. So we're gonna do it both. We're gonna do them. We're gonna do them so they can have some representation in the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so it's gonna be them two. She'll be the thrower. No, she'll be the thrower. She'll be the person getting thrown at. She'll be the thrower. She'll be the person getting thrown at. Joe would actually be pretty bad at this challenge and would hit Courtney like a lot. And Courtney would be like, Joe is so eliminated. And she would be kind of getting sick of Joe's attitude of, being able to win whenever, or being able to like having the power. Like she doesn't like that Joe has all that power, and now she wants to figure out a way to get Joe out as well. So they win this part of the challenge, and it goes to the fifth leg of the race, and yeah. So they decide. Chris decides it would be best to just keep them the same, keep them two going, and it will be DJ and Joe. But with him blindfolded and him having to trust Joe, he's not really willing to trust Joe right now because he's blindfolded, and so every time Joe says something, he's going the opposite way. But them two, for some reason, weren't able to work things out, and it wasn't ending the way that it wanted to. In the end, somehow, in some weird way, DJ and Joe won, and Joe kind of realizes that like these three really don't fuck with him. Like fuck with her. I mean, like she realizes like these three are really like they do not trust her, and she actually takes it as a compliment. She takes it as like she takes it as a compliment. Like, okay, they're scared of me. That's good, because she likes to be the person scares people. So anyway, the Screaming Gophers go to elimination, and Damien is fine by now, and he tells everyone to just vote him off. He's telling everyone to vote him off because he's pretty bent out of shape about what he did to Jasmine last time, because that was his friend. So, and she's giving the cold shoulder, so he doesn't even want to be here anymore. So he tells everyone to vote him off. Them two see it as a perfect, well, her mainly sees it as an opportunity to keep them both in the game. So she votes. So both of them vote for Damien. Damien votes for himself. She asked Damien why, and she like basically like tells Damien, I was being emotional. You don't have to vote yourself out. And he's like, nah, I just can't take it here anymore. Anyway, that these challenges, some of them can get really dangerous, and I don't really like. I just got poisoned today, dude. And she would be like, all right, if that's what you really want, well, no, I'll have Gwen vote for you. So, or I'll get Gwen to vote for you. So all five of them vote for Damien. When she finds out that when Emma finds out that everyone's voting for Damien, she doesn't want to be the only stray vote against Heather. So she votes for Damien as well. Damien gets voted out in a unanimous decision. And yeah, so now we're in the final. Wait, I know that's quick math. 7 plus 6. It's clearly 13. But like, give me time. Give me time. Okay. Wait, no. There are not 5 players. Final 12. Final 12. Because it's 5 plus 7. Anyway, this team Screaming Gophers is basically Team Girl Power. I'm gonna switch it up now. I'm trolling. But yeah, this Team Girl Power. There's only girls left on their team. As you can see, they dropped their guys over and over again. They only eliminated one girl from their team. That's crazy. Actually, the Killer Bass only eliminated one girl from their team too. So that's crazy. Anyway, the next challenge is, let me think, Chef's Boot Camp. The next challenge is Chef's Boot Camp, and we don't even have to dwell on the challenge for too much because I feel like first Duncan's now going to put his plan in action, which is throwing the challenge, and you're gonna see why. And I feel like Gwen is just also really good at this challenge, and Jasmine would also be really good at this challenge. Maybe even Emma being possibly really good at this challenge. So they're like, and Joe might, but Joe's not big on taking orders. He's not really physical. Kitty might do well. Zoe might do well. Zoe might do well. Courtney would still break into the thing with them. They would still have that, but this time they would break into Chef's and Chris's food. But this time, instead of it being Duncan trying to convince her to break the rules, it would just be them having fun because of the shitty situation they're in right now. But they would basically get together and start thinking, like, I have a plan, and she's not too on board with it but like it's like literally their only option if they go to vote and yeah. So they go to vote, and Duncan goes to the do-gooder squad. They lose because they, lose the challenge. Duncan goes to the do-gooder squad. Joe's not really concerned about anything. She thinks she's just, she thinks she's the king of the world, queen of the world, since she's a girl, and she thinks that she just has everything under control. She thinks she's the best. So Duncan uses this opportunity to go to them and tells them, look, I understand you guys have no reason to vote with me, DJ, and Courtney because we're the other alliance. You could easily just get rid of one of us and then keep you on a straight path to the merge. But think about it this way: if you guys do that, or even if you don't do that, there's no guarantee that after you guys vote me out, because he would know that they're targeting him. There's no guarantee that you'll be able to get another chance to vote out Joe. And Joe's the biggest physical threat left in the game, besides possibly Jasmine. But Jasmine's not on this team. And he would say, and like he would basically give them the whole spiel, like, yeah, you can go ahead and vote me out now, or my alliance could vote with your alliance. We could just get rid of the threat now. And if we go to elimination again, we can, just figure something out. Go to a tie. However, yeah, I mean, he would tell them that they would be going to a tie. But it's better than having to face someone like Joe in a one-on-one situation. And they would think about it, and Kitty, once again being the voice of reason, would be like, dude has a point. And they would vote out Joe. So Joe gets eliminated, and Joe is pissed on why she is eliminated, considering they were supposed to vote with her, and she basically has to get literally physically pulled out of the off the island onto the boat of losers, because Chef has to literally grab her and throw her onto. But Chef and Chris do that little same thing that they did to Joe. Same thing that they did to Courtney in the original, where they both smile, grab her, and throw her onto the thing, laugh at her. And she's like, this is not the end. I'll be back. You're not acting, buddy. Anyway, next challenge is the Extreme Sports Challenge. If only it was real sports, because basketball is awesome. Anyway, the first challenge would basically be, the first challenge is basically the skydive one, and I feel like it would just be Jasmine and DJ. DJ would land on it, get folded up, and everybody else would walk away whistling, which I actually thought that was Trent the other time, but I figured it out that it wasn't, because I just watched the clip like yesterday. That's why it's gonna be. But I'm gonna have a different opinion in the first of the trilogy. This is the third. So the first is the what if I was in Total Drama Island. But if I'm just yapping at this point, I'm yapping. Anyway, Jasmine would not land. because DJ would still do the thing where he pushes her off on accident, and he would be like, "Oh, I did that," but he'd still jump. She wouldn't land, so they would win that first part of the challenge. And then they would lose the second. They would lose that first part. The second part would be to stay on the moose the longest, and I feel like for this they would have Dave be the one. Dave would be the one to have to stay on the moose, and he would be against Emma. Emma would or Dave would be first, and he would literally last 2 seconds, like no cap, 2 seconds. So she knows that she just has to last longer than 2 seconds. So she gets on, she holds on for dear life, and lasts 3 seconds. So she wins, and they lose that part. So now it all comes down to the very last challenge, and they have Duncan be the driver for their team because that was the canon, and Lindsay is the skier. Lindsay is the skier for their. So now we need a new driver and a new. Or no, actually, we don't need a new driver because Courtney or Heather will be the driver for this, as she was in the original. And the person that they're gonna have be the skier is going to be Kitty. So Kitty would be the skier. Duncan would have done everything he can to possibly win, but the chick's determined. Like he said, the chick was determined. And Lindsay collects them all. She still tries to when she realizes that they're in a little bit of a pinch, she still tries to turn around and cut Kitty off. And when she does that, she tries to cut Kitty off of the boat, or off of the thing, the ski, whatever she was connected to, the ski, yeah, ski. And when she does that, her shirt gets ripped, chest comes out, she gets she flies off. It distracts Kitty just a little bit, enough where she misses a chance at getting one of the flags. So she does end up finishing, even with Heather not being on it, and it finishing on its own, or it just like literally going on its own. They both still finished with no driver because Duncan aborted, thought that was going to change the outcome. But they both finished. The only difference is Lindsay actually ended with the most flags, as she collected all of them, while Kitty accidentally missed one because of the whole Heather's chest coming out, because it did like distract her for like zero point 0.5 seconds, which was enough for her to miss one singular flag. So they go into a vote, and they look at the options, and they at first they were thinking about voting Duncan, but Courtney starts to become more. This challenge, Courtney's been more bossy, been more mean. She's been more rude, and she ends up trying to actually boss these two around, and Katie doesn't like that because those are her friends. She's more of a stander upper, so she stands up for them. Her and Kitty gets into an argument, and because of that, she tells their alliance they're voting Kitty. She tells her alliance we're voting. Ooh, I did not realize that my stuff was not on silent. All right, we're on silent now, so no more distractions from Snapchat. Anyway, yeah, they would be voting Courtney. They would be voting Kitty. Kitty ends up winning the challenge, as she was doing pretty well, because it would be another ski kind of challenge, but it would be a solo ski challenge. As she was doing well originally, she would do well again, and Courtney would actually be a little nervous because she's not, that kind of person. She's a more nervous person when it comes to big moments like that, at least for right now. So she would end up getting eliminated in the tiebreaker, but that's fine because it's now time for the boys, splitting the teams up into boys and girls. And as you can see, this is like only three guys. There's only three guys, and the rest of these are girls. So let's go ahead and pop them in. But yeah, Heather, Lindsay, Jasmine, Gwen, and Emma. So it's a 7v, wait, one, yeah, it's a 7v3. But with the challenge that it is, the brunch of disgustingness, I feel like the boys would be able to win pretty easily, even though he's not, big fan on probably doing germs and stuff. They could probably force him to do it. Zoe would not be happy about that, but there would be too much chaos going on in this team. With Jasmine and Heather, and now Zoe and Kitty are here, and maybe Emma also doesn't like Heather, as we already know, and Kitty might stand up for her sister, and then Zoe arguing at them for forcing him to eat stuff that he doesn't want to eat. But in the end, like there would just be so much chaos going on between these three, this team, that they would just be able to finish probably without even going to the cockroach tiebreaker. And merge time, it doesn't really matter who won that challenge, but I mean that's just how I see things playing out. You know, we're gonna put people in pretty different spots. Put them in primary spots, and then we're gonna put you here. We're gonna slot you over here next to your sister, Belle. So now, as you know, there's comebacks, and we got Caleb coming back and Noah coming back, right? That's a great. That was a W play on my end, right? Noah coming back with other drama. That's great. But here's the thing. Noah kind of already knows that he's like basically with the words that Emma gave him, he doesn't want to win anymore. He doesn't care about the money anymore. I mean, he kind of does, but like he's more interested in cuddling up with Emma than trying to win. So he doesn't really care about the game anymore, and Heather notices that as well. But she still doesn't like the fact that he's here. Anyway, the challenge is the no pain no gain. I can't remember if it's no pain no game or no pain no gain. I thought it was no pain no gain, but I think it's no pain no game. I think it's no pain no game. Anyway, either way, the name of the challenge doesn't matter. We know what challenge it is. It would end up coming down to Caleb and Jasmine, and Jasmine would just barely beat out Caleb. And because of this, Heather would have realized that Noah was. Heather would have realized that Noah was right all that time ago. That Caleb is an extreme threat to the game, and seeing him in the challenge in action today would have only proved that right. So she just basically talks to everybody and tells them, we should vote him out. A lot of people are like, why should we trust you? You're Heather of all people, and like even but everybody kind of listens to what she says because she's speaking with reason. So they just vote him out. He's very pissed that he came back to get right back eliminated literally the next challenge. He's just not happy. He's not happy about it. It's not his day, you know. But it's just what happens. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. Anyway, so the next challenge would be, I believe, the hide and seek challenge. Let me check. I'm double checking right now because I have the list up, but I'm double checking, and it is actually it's not. It's the find your key clue challenge. Okay. So for this challenge, Heather had got the immunity originally. I don't see a reason for that to change. So Heather would have immunity because Lindsay would help her get her thing, and her and Lindsay would still want to target one of the couples, and she would actually talk to um, Jasmine, Duncan, Gwen, and DJ because they're the little people. They're the people of a reason right now. And she would look at she would look at them. She would tell them, "Look, listen. There's 6 of us. Wait. Oh, Lindsay. That's why something was looking messed up. She was like, look, there's 6 of us left. That little group over there has 5, because because Dave and Zoe are a relationship, and their friend is Kitty, and Emma and Noah are in a relationship, and Kitty is Emma's sister, so they're all together. And oh yeah, by the way, Noah would be basically thinking that they're in a relationship. Emma would be like, "Didn't I tell you to wait till after the game, after this is over?" And he would be like, "But I'm here now." And she would kind of see this as cute, so they would still be canoodling, stuff like that. And they would basically be seeing this, and everybody agrees, even though they don't really want to work with Heather. Heather has immunity, so it's not like they could vote her out anyway. So they're like, all right, so what's the plan? They said we need to get rid of. She said we need to get rid of one of the two couples. There's two couples on their team. We need to get rid of one of them. And the vote, the couldn't even think of the right words. The couple that is more threatening is the one that has two threatening members, which is Noah and Emma. But the one that's more threatening between them is Emma, because she's smart and physically gifted. So they would vote out Emma, and Emma would get eliminated. She would get pissed for letting a relationship ruin her chance at the money, and Noah would be pissed for her, and he would tell her that he would get her vengeance. He doesn't even need to think about who eliminated her. He already knows that this was the doing of Heather, and he probably just thinks that it's Heather trying to get back at him for basically coming back into the game, even though it's not really his fault. That's the thought process that he has in his mind right now. So the next challenge would be the hide and seek challenge, and I feel like here Noah would think of a really nifty strategy to I can't think I don't I'm not gonna come up with something. Maybe he like hides under the thing or hides like maybe he camouflages with something right near the dock, but he would end up winning immunity in this challenge because he sits on the throne. Heather would spot DJ and get herself immunity, right? And the other person to get immunity this challenge would be Jasmine, because Jasmine would vote, or Jasmine would find, let's say, Duncan. She would find a little hair. She would find a little green hair, and she would tell Chef about it. And Chef would be like, I guess I can consider that finding him. And so all three of them got immunity. So she's talking. So he's talking to his alliance. To his alliance, she's sad because Emma got eliminated. They're kind of upset because they think that they're next, because they're clearly targeting the couples. So Noah's like, look, you guys, I know you guys don't got to take my word for it, but I have a plan, and I think that we can, actually get. Clearly, Heather's the one that was behind this, so I think we can actually get back at Heather. And they're like, how can we get back at Heather? She has immunity. So he's like, look, eliminating Heather is not the only way to get back at her. So he goes and talks to Jasmine, Duncan, DJ, and Gwen. He tells them, he says, look, I know you guys voted with Heather last time, and you probably plan to do it again, considering we have a pretty nifty alliance of four. But you guys voted, even if you guys voted a different way this time and left us four, you guys can still get one of us next game or next time. But I feel like there's someone else that you guys should vote for that's not us. And they're like, why? And like what kind of logic is that? And he would be like, well, we should eliminate Lindsay because Lindsay is Heather's right hand girl. So we all dislike Heather, right? Why don't we just hurt her in the only way that we know we can? And you think about it, they're all like he's crazy. But then after thinking about it, they're like, he actually has a little bit of sense. So they all vote for Lindsay. So it's literally everybody but Lindsay and Heather vote for Lindsay, and then Lindsay and Heather vote for Zoe, and Lindsay goes home. Heather is a little upset, but she at the same time she acts like she don't care. She's like, well, at least it's not me. And Heather and Lindsay goes off on her just like how she did before the last time she was eliminated, because she's like, I thought we were best friends, but you really are you really are. I thought everybody was lying when they said those things about you, but no, they're true. You're a mean, backstabbing, lying little, goes off. Goes off the chain. DJ still makes his face. Duncan still makes his face. Everybody goes crazy. Like, wow, that's crazy. It's crazy. And she's like, I don't care. She still says the P.S. Your shoes are tacky. Blah 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 blah. She's pissed. Everybody else is laughing at her. Lindsay gets eliminated. Goes out in style. You feel me? Goes out in style. Anyway, the next challenge will start, and the people getting, and this would be the bike challenge. This would be the bike challenge. And in the bike challenge, I feel like the people getting eliminated first out of the bike challenge would be like DJ, Heather, Gwen, we'll say Dave. I don't think Dave would do good either. So these would be the 5 left for the second part of the challenge. People getting eliminated during this part, though, like this leg of the race, would be Noah, Duncan, and Jasmine. So now it's just between these two. Everybody else done wiped out. And now it's just between these two. And Zoe beats out her just by a smidge. And they both finish, but Zoe finishes first. So because of the rule, Kitty ends up getting automatically eliminated. And everybody's like, that's BS. Well, everybody in their alliance anyway. Everybody else like, ah, that better for us. But yeah, like Kitty's like, that's BS, and Chris says, well, them's the rules, you know. So that's it just is how it is sometimes, you know what I mean. So Kitty gets eliminated here. Anyway, the next challenge would be the catch the psycho killer with the hook challenge, and I always found it weird why Chris just didn't give them both immunity. So that's what I'm gonna do here, because uh, uh, wow, can't speak. She will still get Gwen will still get immunity for beating the real psycho killer, while DJ gets immunity for beating the fake one, which is Chef. That was the whole point of the plan. But it doesn't really matter immunity, because in the end, it just eliminates the person who got scared the most. And because Heather's still here, DJ would still see Heather and go running basically to no man's land, and that's how DJ gets eliminated. Anyway, now we're in the final 7. And this will be the challenge where all have to find their own animal. And for the most part, things will play out with Gwen the same. She'll still win. There's no immunity given. So, but during the challenge, Dave accidentally hits. Uh, Dave accidentally hits Heather with a tranquilizer dart, and Heather gets pissed off at this. So Heather, she can't really speak right now. She can't really, or she can barely speak, but she can't move. She's tranquilized. And Duncan will still end up making an alliance with her, as he just lost his last ally left in the game. He would still like make a little alliance with her, and she would tell him, "Go get Jasmine and get Jasmine, get Gwen. Tell them to vote out Dave." And he would be like, "Why? Like Dave's the easiest person to beat." She would be holding a grudge, but she would make it sound smart. She would be like, "Well, he's a part of the last alliance left in the game." And to be honest, he's out of everybody here, he's probably the most likable, besides possibly Zoe. But she wouldn't say that. She would just be like, he's more likable than me, you, Noah, or me. He's more likable than me, you, Noah, Gwen, not Jasmine. But we're not worried about Jasmine right now. And he would be like, all right, bet. He talks to them. Dave. Dave gets eliminated. They're kind of shocked because they didn't think that because they also tried to get them to vote for Heather, and they're like, they didn't vote for Heather? Like, what? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think, I don't know if I said it already, but they lock in boyfriend girlfriend right here. If not, and they have their little kiss goodbye, blah blah blah. And Dave is really he's happy. He's like, I'm leaving here a coupled man. You know what I mean? Um, Anyway, the next challenge would be the trial by triarm triathlon. And to make the teams interesting, we gotta put Noah and Heather on the same team. You already know. Anyway, we putting them two on the same team. The next team, I'll actually struggle. I actually struggle with this because I thought maybe putting Duncan and them on the same team would be cool. But then that leaves them two. Like I've seen them two on the same team. Like she would be scared of Duncan the whole time. But like then that still leaves these two on the same team, and that they too buddy. So we gotta make the drama a little bit. So we're gonna put Gwen and Zoe on the same team while also putting Jasmine and Duncan on the same team. So in the first challenge, will be the eating challenge, and I feel like Jasmine and Duncan would both be kind of disputing on who to eat, and they're both not really big eaters. So I feel like she would kind of just do she would kind of just basically pin Noah down and just shove everything down his throat. No diddy, but like she would just basically all down, He eats everything as quick as possible. These neither of these two are really big eaters, and neither of them, to be honest. So she would, basically by doing that strategy, they get that little win. And Noah is actually in confessional pissed, but she's right there because they're tied together. And he basically says some very mean things, and he says all offense, and she's like, oh, all taken. And but she said I need this immunity, and he said so then that's when he's like, yeah, I do too, because for some reason things don't work out when I try to get you out. And she's like, funny how that happens. Anyway, the next challenge will be the one where they have to, run to the blah blah blah, get to the Boney Island, put the little pieces of the tiki totem, whatever you want to call it, back into the cave. And I feel like in this challenge, Zoe and Gwen will be able to get the win here. Zoe and Gwen will be able to get the win here because they're both. Zoe's very physically capable. I mean, so is her, but I feel like they would be more still disputing and debating because I feel like their personalities would clash. But I feel like she would also come around to him eventually. But yeah, that still doesn't get them to win. They win this part of the challenge. It's 1-1-0. So the next part of the challenge will happen, and I think it's the next part is putting all the eliminated contestants together, and I feel like it's pretty obvious that them two would win, that Noah and Heather would win this part because they're both the smartest people here, and Noah's memory is probably top tier. So I feel like there's no possible way that they don't win this, and then also they both know that they both need immunity here because things have not played out. Noah knows that things have not played out the way he wanted to the last couple of eliminations, and he doesn't want to risk it. And then Heather knows that at any point in time, Jasmine and what's her name, Gwen, could take their pent up anger out and just eliminate her if she didn't win immunity. So they both needed it, and they both got it. Anyway, so for this elimination, Noah or Heather and Duncan gets together. They're like, yeah, we should vote Jasmine. She's the biggest physical threat left in the game. Even bigger than Zoe. Yes, yes, yes. Even bigger than Zoe. And with that logic, they would pull over Noah. They'll be like, "Look, you can't." No, Heather would be like, "Look, you can't vote me out. So the only option you have really is to help us vote out Jasmine, because she's a threat. She's a physical threat to you as well." And he thinks about it. He's like, the logic adds up. So he tells Zoe to vote for Jasmine. They do that. The four of them vote for Jasmine. Jasmine and Gwen vote for I don't know, Duncan, I guess. And actually no, she wouldn't vote for Duncan because her and Duncan kind of made up. So I guess they would vote for Zoe. I don't know. They would vote for either Zoe or Duncan, one of the two. I feel like maybe Zoe, considering Duncan, they've worked with him in the past, and she kind of made up with him. Like together, like they kind of like made way, and they're like, either way, Jasmine goes home. The next one would be the let me pull them. Let me just pull them down actually. Now, so the next challenge would be um resort challenge, and I feel like here things just kind of go. It's pretty simple. Everyone just kind of says Gwen's name. Gwen gets eliminated that way. Like we'll say one person, like maybe Jasmine says I'm so glad that Gwen's back in the game, and then Stacey would be like, oh yeah, it would be great to have Gwen here. She was really fun. And then Cameron would be like, no, stop saying Gwen's name if you like her here. And then he'd be like, oh no. And then maybe Brick is like, okay, everyone, let's stop saying Gwen's name. And then Sam would be like, bro, you just said Gwen's name. And Chase would be like, why are we all saying Gwen? And then it would just go crazy. Everyone just keeps saying Gwen's name, and Gwen ends up getting eliminated. And that would be that. So Gwen's eliminated final five. I know, sad. A lot of you Gwen fans out there are probably like, no, she was supposed to make finale, but not this time. Not this time, guys. This is mine. This is mine. My recast. I get to choose who goes, and I also feel like that's pretty believable. Like I feel like that could actually genuinely happen. So anyway, it was this challenge would be the girls versus boys challenge. Well, if we have to talk about the Mr. Coconut one, I guess the Mr. Coconut one. Do they have a Mr. Coconut thing here? Let's see. No, it does not look like they have a Mr. Coconut Doesn't look like to have Mr. Coconut here, unless he's here and I'm just not seeing him. Yeah, I don't see Mr. Coconut here, but yeah, we'll just Mr. Coconut comes, and he also gets eliminated right back. Pow, 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 pow. Fifth place, Mr. Coconut. Anyway, um, now it's time for the boys versus girls challenge, and I feel like in this challenge, it plays out the exact same way. She tells Zoe, "Let's seduce them." Duncan falls for it. He falls for it. They end up winning that portion of the challenge. So you would think it would come to a tie between Duncan and Noah in the vote, but I feel like Heather would see it this way. Well, she knows that Noah and um, Zoe are both voting for Duncan, and Duncan is a more physical threat than Noah, and at this point, she doesn't have to really worry about the mental thing because most of the challenges have been physical anyway. So she just votes out Duncan. She votes out Duncan with them, and Duncan's like, "Bro, you turned on me," and she would be like, "Gotta do what I have to do," you know. And in this situation plays out literally the exact same. Noah's like, "All right, let's put our freebies together and team up on her," and she's like, "What? Yeah, that's what we're doing." And Noah's like, "Yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm finally getting my revenge for all that time ago when you voted out Emma." And then like she would be like, "I bet," and she would still get her hair shaved. That's how it goes. Blah blah blah. She gets eliminated. So as you can see, oh, went too far. The finale of this season would be Zoe and Noah. If you like Zoe better, you have your Zoe win. If you like Noah better, you have your Noah win, right? We're gonna say that for the sake of this challenge, that Zoe is the canon winner, so she's the one that wins and gets the chance to go for some more money. I don't think there's any possible way that Zoe would give up her money for a chance to win more money because it's not guaranteed, and neither would Noah. So we're just gonna say that she gets to keep the money, but there's still another hunt for the $1 million. Or well, actually, he gave her a choice, and he said that or she originally Chris gave Owen a choice. So we'll say that Zoe, just didn't take the offer and says, "Well, everybody else, you have a chance of winning $1 million." And Noah's like, Noah in this timeline would be like, another chance to win even more money than before. Bet, bet, bet. So I'm going to just give you a little. I'll let you see the whole elimination order real quick, just for you guys, this is the whole elimination order. Stacy, Caleb, Cameron, Brick, Izzy, Sam, Noah, Chase, Ripper, Damien, Joe, Courtney, Caleb again, um, Emma, Lindsay, Kitty, DJ, Dave, Jasmine, Gwen, Duncan, Heather, and Noah again. And then there's our canon winner, Zoe. Even though I would probably this would be my personal canon winner because there would be alternate endings. He would be my personal canon winner, or he would be my personal favorite winner of this season. But she would be the canon winner, right? Anyway, so we're gonna just in this little spot right here. I'm going to put everybody who is going to be in the next season because I have picked out my hand picked squad of who I think should make the next season, and that way you guys have a little bit of way of how this next season is gonna go. You guys can do your little predictions because it's not just gonna be everybody who's represented. So like, yeah. So the people you see now, these are your contestants. These are the people who will be playing for another chance at the money. So we have the winner Zoe. We have our runner up Noah. We have our favorite Amazon Jasmine. We have our favorite crybaby Dave. We have our precious law student Emma. We have the dude who is scared of literally everything, Damien. We have our tough, rough, and buff player Joe, and our perfect, lovable, fat gamer Sam. We have our, I'll just say hated player Courtney, even though I love her. She's a great character. but hated by most of the fan base, and that's Courtney. We have our bad boy Duncan, and our lovable, crazy redhead Izzy. We have our pretty boring guy Cameron. Yeah, he's boring. Anybody who has a problem with it, fight me in the comments. Anyway, we have our lovable blonde, dumb Lindsay, and we have our big old softy DJ, and the queen of mean Heather. And finishing out this 14 player contestant cast, whatever you want to call it, we have Caleb. Our, for lack of other words, really good looking guy. I'm not going to say anything else because you're not clipping me. Yeah, you heard me. You're not clipping me. You'll never catch me saying something weird. Anyway, well, as you can see, it's 2:12. I'm about to go do the live. I'm about to go live on Twitch. You feel me? Yeah, I got Twitch right here. I'm gonna go live on Twitch and react to Reality Resort. But you guys won't see that. You guys will see this in the video, and the have been long live, because this video might not come out for 2 more weeks. Who knows? Since I'm gonna try and do a video every week, and this is the last in the trilogy, this might come in 2 weeks. This week I'm dropping the first one, so yeah. But these are all 3 of these were recorded within the same week, right? Actually, with the same couple of days, because this is my off. These are my 3 off days. But yeah, with that, that's the end of the video. Thank everybody who's gotten this far. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys join me for season 2. Season 2 is going to be a much wilder ride, I think. Because we have a pretty good cast here, pretty good cast setup. We have Heather, we have Jasmine, we have Noah, we have Duncan, we have Courtney, we have Joe, we have Damien, we have Emma, we have everything, we have Zoe, we have everything you want. Everything you want. Even Lindsay. We also have Caleb, DJ, Cameron, Dave, Sam, Izzy. We have everybody, everything that you might want to see in a season. If you want to see one of these guys in here, if you want to see Gwen, alright, fine. We'll drop Izzy. I'm trolling. I came up with this. It's staying. We don't see her. We don't see Gwen until World Tour, because these guys will be in World Tour for sure. Since they were in the season, they definitely get a second chance. I'm not doing like what they did to Eva and Katie and Sadie. They get another chance at the money. Anyway, that's it for the video. I'm gonna go do my reaction. Probably go grab something to eat even before I do that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for all the other videos I have planned in the future, because by the time this comes out, I'll probably have even more videos recorded, even more stuff to do, even more fun things planned for the rest of the channel, because I've been dead for a while, guys. Like my channel's been like pretty dead. Haven't really been doing much, and now I plan to change that. I plan to get back into the scene. I've been trying to basically fall back into becoming a reaction YouTuber, and it's not really doing well for me. My reactions are not doing as well as they did when I started. When I started my reactions, they were pretty good, but now they're pretty cheeks. I mean, not cheeks. Well, for everyone who does come to watch my reactions, I do love your company. I love having you there to watch it with me. I would prefer more talking, because I don't think we've ever gotten a comment actually. And if we did, sorry I missed it. But we rarely ever get comments, anybody in the chat box. But I really hope that we can eventually get like at least at the very least 15 to 20 people in a stream, every stream, watching. That's the goal. 15 to 20 people watching my streams, because I'm also going to be doing games on my streams. I did Poppy Playtime, I did Fortnite. Hoping to do Poppy Playtime again at some point whenever I feel like doing Poppy Playtime. You know what I mean? But that last chapter is pretty crazy. Gotta chill out. I'm trolling. It wasn't really that crazy. But I'm pretty sure we'll be in store for a lot more in chapter two. You feel me? Anyway, I have all 4 chapters, so I gotta do them at some point. I spent the money on them, so we'll be looking out for that soon. Because if I'm doing it live, it's not like I can, save it for another day, But the only thing is, I cannot record those videos, so they're live. They'll probably be on the VOD. The VOD will probably be up for a couple days, but after that, they're gone. Can't find it anymore because I don't know. I'm not a big Twitch worker. If any of you guys know how to work Twitch, please help. But besides that, those VODs are gone. But yeah, I'm not gonna keep yapping. I still got a whole more video to record, slash do stream live. So I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And with that, just have a great day.